if you want to ask a question or share something.
Yeah, but I don't mind waiting in case there's other people that it benefits, or we
Uh,
can start.
yeah, yeah, you can start if you want. That's fine.
I mean, I don't really have any sort of burning questions. It's just sort of little curiosities, really.
Hmm.
Um, I've been reading, what is it, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I
Yep.
think it is. He's sort of talking about how enlightenment is something that it happens now. It's sort of a now or never thing. It's not something that's going to happen in the future.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I'm wondering from like the point of view of someone who it feels like it isn't happening in the now, like it feels like it's something that I'm working towards, or not working towards, but practicing towards. I wonder how those two things fit together, like in terms of having like a daily meditation practice.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in the future.
No.
Um, because we can explore this if you want, because they're well, the question is have you actually experienced the future?
No.
No. But have you experienced that? Like, is this your experience, or is this something that you've maybe read? I don't know. I haven't read that book. But are you just believing it because
Sorry.
yeah.
So no, sorry, carry on. I just had a pigeon fly into my window, but he's okay.
Oh, like actually into the window. Oh, wow.
It's not gone through it. There's a big sort of pigeon imprint on the glass, but he's okay.
Oh, good.
But so yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Um, yeah, so is it your direct experience that there's no future? Or is it something that you've heard or read in this book and then now it's taken to be a belief? Oh, Eckhart says that there's no past, there's no future, there's only now, and now you believe that. Or have you experienced this?
I mean, I suppose my initial thought is sort of the closest thing I can say to experiencing the future is that this is perhaps right now is a future that I had imagined, but it's not how I imagined it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of experiencing a future, no, I don't think.
Yeah. So let's just check right now. Let's just explore this right now. Is right now, if I were to ask you, okay, now I want you to leave now and I want you to go to the future. So I'll wait for you and just go to the future and then experience the future and then come back and then tell me how it is. And how is that?
It's
Did you leave the now?
no,
No.
but then this is
Can you
this
leave the
is kind
now?
of pardon.
Is it possible to leave the now? You just tried. I just asked you. I said, go
Yeah.
try going to the past. So same thing. I'll wait for you. Just leave this now, leave this moment, and go and experience the past. Go visit the past and then come back.
Sorry, do you mean like visiting a memory of the past, or just
Okay, so
or
well, when you say the past and when you say the future, you're implying that there's actually something called the past and something called the future. So this is what we're just exploring right now is can you actually experience that something called the past or the future?
no, I don't think so. I think it's just an idea in the mind.
Mm-hmm. So the past is what we call like memory, and the future is what we call imagination. And both memory and imagination is thought. If you were to if I were to say, okay, well, experience last night's dinner, you would just be remembering, oh, I had pasta or I had chicken or whatever it is, right? And you're just remembering what you would call a past experience, but all you're experiencing is really just your memory, and the memory is just the thoughts. And then these thoughts then create like a mental image,
Yes.
right? Same thing with the future. You know, well, tell me about your plans for Christmas. What's going to happen in the new year? What's your New Year's goals? Well, you're then just thinking about and imagining this future. But see that both the memory and the imagination is being experienced now, is it not?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you can't leave this now. You can't leave this now. You can't travel to the future. You can't travel to the past. There's only now. So the belief that this like enlightenment, that I'll get my happiness in the future, just see it's not possible.
Yeah.
Right. But when we believe in the future, when we haven't explored this directly, experientially, we haven't explored this, and we believe that there's a future, we also believe the thought that I'll be happy in the future.
Yeah.
When you believe that you're going to be happy in the future, you're never going to be happy.
No.
You're constantly unhappy. It's kind of like this carrot dangling in front of your face. The happiness carrot is dangling in front of your face, and there's the chasing the happiness. You never get there though. It's not possible.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's to see that there's only now. There's only now. It's not possible to arrive anywhere. It's not possible to get anywhere. Right? So now you're now you're seeing that. Now you're experiencing that there's only now, that you've never experienced something called the past, and you've never experienced something called the future. So now this now that you're experiencing, how many nows have you experienced? When you joined this call, it was now. When you're speaking right now, it's now.
I mean,
When
just the one, I suppose.
when did this now begin? Have you experienced the starting of this now? And have you experienced the ending of this now? When you experience now, is it now and then another now and then another now? Are these nows like lined up on some sort of timeline? Or is there just this one continuous now? What's your experience of the now?
Yeah, it's just one now.
It's just one now.
Yeah.
Now, can you find the start of it?
Um, I feel like I can. I feel like it's when I put my attention in it.
Mm-hmm. So when did the now begin?
When I stopped remembering, when I stopped remembering the past or thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm. But then that thought of the past or that thought of the future, wasn't that happening now as well?
Yeah, yeah, I suppose it was. It has a different quality though, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. It's like a focusing, like if you focus a lens
Yeah,
when you're in the now, the picture is clear, but when you're in the past or the present, it's like a blurrier image,
right.
or nebulous, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. But that that experience of the thought of the past or the experience of the thought of the future, that still happens now. That thinking,
Yeah.
it happened now. It didn't happen somewhere else or at another time, did it?
No, it didn't. I suppose it just had a
Yeah.
different quality to it.
Right. Okay. So so that didn't really answer the question. So
So
again, so explore and now tell me where exactly, when exactly did this now begin?
I don't know.
Okay. And have you ever experienced the ending of this now?
No.
No. So experientially, you're saying, I've only ever experienced this now. I haven't experienced a past or I haven't experienced something called the future. You're saying experientially, I can't leave this now and go to a later or a before. And you're saying that this now is one now It's not many nows. And this one now, I've never experienced the start of, and I've never experienced the end of. Can you confirm this?
Yes. Yeah. I
Yes.
can.
Okay, perfect. And is there any doubt that you are not now?
No, there's not.
You are now. This is
Yes.
this is obvious. Okay. So this is good. So when you say I am now, what are you referring to? I, Ross, am now?
No, because that seems to go away in the present. It seems to be an idea.
Yeah. Because isn't Ross made of past and future?
Yes.
When
Yeah.
you refer to Ross, you're referring to memories
Yeah.
of like a childhood and going through school and first job and first relationship, and all of these different things are just past experiences, past memories. And then Ross also has a future. So Ross has a past and Ross has a future. But really, Ross is the past and Ross is the future. That's what like Ross is made up of, you could say,
Yes.
is is basically these memories and dreams.
Yeah.
When you say like, what's your dream for 2024? It's these projections. And we just saw that the past and the future is just simply thought. So really, Ross is just made up of thought. And these memories, they're it's like there's these collection of memories, but they're always like changing. Right? Same with the future. It's always these thoughts, these imaginations, and they're always changing. So we look at like, okay, me as a person, the person is always changing. It seems to be consistent, but when we look at it, it's not consistent. It's constantly changing. But what is constant? These memories aren't constant because they're like a collection of memories that are always changing. And then you always have to kind of refer back to a memory to then essentially refer to yourself as a person. Someone says, "Who are you?" Then you might, "Oh, I'm a student," or "I'm a father," or "I'm a, I don't know, technician," or "an accountant." But all these things these are just labels, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just labels, and these labels are always changing. You're not born as a father, right? Someone becomes a father. You're not born as a student, someone becomes a student. There's a time when you stop identifying as a student and then you identify as then let's say your job, right? So these labels are always changing. So without the labels, without referring to a past, without referring to a future, then what are you?
Just empty. Just still.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. That's quite wonderfully liberating because there's this kind of things that kind of I like about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think, oh, I'm afraid to lose that. Like, I'm afraid to lose that aspect of my personality or whatever. But then in the moment, it doesn't even exist, and it's not,
Ah,
and there's nothing to.
nothing to lose.
There's no sense of loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this emptiness, it's here now, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's here now, this emptiness. And this emptiness is is here now, so it's present, and it's that which is experiencing, correct?
Yes.
Right. And all of these memories and these dreams, it's you that's experiencing these memories and dreams, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is what is gives you the feeling of I'm continuous, I'm constant. See, Ross isn't constant because Ross is always changing. If Ross is then saying, oh, Ross is this body or Mitch is this body, that's a label. Mitch or Ross, that's a label given to a form, right? But this form is always changing, and that label can change. You could change your name. I could change my name. If I were to change my name, like literally, like metaphorically, take off the label Mitch and then swap it for Jim, what am I right there when I take off this label and now I'm labelless? And then right before I put on the new label, Jim, what would I be?
Are you asking me?
Well, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like a rhetorical.
Rhetorically, or, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be nothing. Exactly. You'd be nothing. Right. But it's actually just seeing that I'm already nothing. That underneath all of those labels that tell me I'm something, I'm actually nothing, no thing. The label is saying that I'm something, and all labels are limits. So it's limiting me to just I'm just a teacher, I'm just a father, I'm just a husband. So it's so limited. And there's a part of us that knows that doesn't feel natural to limit myself like that, because what we truly are is limitless. To identify as something feels so, it just feels unnatural because we are actually no thing. But when we identify as something, then it's what kind of feels like something's off here. But we're just identified with the thought because the Mitch or Ross or Sim, this is just a label, and the label is nothing more than a thought. But then you just said, well, if I don't refer to a past or a future, meaning if I don't refer to a thought, then what am I right here, right now? And you can't say anything about it. If you were to start speaking, you would say, like, nothing, emptiness. I'm just aware, right? But even these are thoughts.
Yeah.
But these type of thoughts are pointing at our essential nature. That right now, without referring to thought, just allow yourself to just be nothing. It's like everything, your family, your friends, your society, they're constantly saying that you're something, you're something, you're something. And then we believe that we're something, and that we have to then live up to that kind of image and that those kind of like expectations and that story about being somebody. But just feel how freeing it is to not be somebody. Just feel how free it is to be nobody. And without a past and a future, you're nobody going nowhere. Now just rest right here in this moment as nobody going nowhere. Without referring to any thought, just simply allow yourself to be here as nobody going nowhere. Nothing to do, nobody to be. So you see how you have this we can call it a sense, it's not a sense, but this experience of existing. So without the name, without referring to a past, without referring to a future, without referring to any thoughts, there's the experience of just being. Is there not?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's you that's being. So the you equals being, not you as Ross, but you are being. That's what feels so familiar. That's what feels so intimate. There's nothing closer than that, because that's what you are. This being, that's when I said, don't refer to any thoughts without trying to become, you are just simply being. Being a somebody is always about becoming. You're always trying to become something. So when you stop becoming, when you're not trying to go anywhere, you're just simply being. And I said, well, what are you being? Because if you're trying to be something, then that's, well, now that's not being, but you're becoming. You would just say, well, I'm just being. Yourself is synonymous with being. So you could say you're just being yourself. But most people have that when they say yourself, they're referring to their image of their self. I'm being myself. So that means I got to be a good citizen, or I got to be, a caring son or a loving father. Right. So that's not what I'm saying. Is yourself is the being. It's as if you're dropping all those labels. Drop the past, drop the future, drop the story, drop everything, even drop effort. Without any effort, what is here? What remains? When all of that is dropped, what remains? And there's just this, it doesn't even pop up as a thought. It doesn't have a thought that says me, I'm what remains, but there's a knowing that it's you that remains, right?
Yes.
It doesn't sound like a thought. A thought doesn't arise and raise its hand and say, I'm still here. But if it could, it would. But what remains is there's this silent being. There's just this silence. There's a stillness. There's just this being. There's an awareness or a knowingness or an experiencing. And that's you. That's you. And that's what has always been present. Remember, there's no past, there's no future. So that's what's present, is this pure experiencing. Well, it was experiencing the experience of being 5 or being 10 or being 20 or being 30. It was experiencing going to school. It was experiencing first girlfriend or relationship, first home, all of these different experiences. That's what was experiencing, was you. But there's just a little like a misidentification, a confusion, when we identify what I am is I am the body mind. We see, well, the body is also an experience. The mind is also an experience. Is it not you that's experiencing the body? Is it not you that's experiencing the mind? So the body, the mind is an experience that you are experiencing. The body is something, the mind is something. So it's as if you are no thing experiencing something called the body, something called the mind. And this is how it's always been. This is where it's like, it's not like you're becoming nothing. It's just realizing that this is what you always have been. But you've been just imagining that you're something. So when you stop imagining that you're something, just notice that, notice what you actually are. When you're not, imagining is effort. Remembering is effort. When you're not trying to remember who you are, when you're not trying to imagine who you are, well, then what are you? And you can't speak about it. As soon as you start speaking about it, it's not true. Right? But now just remain as what you are. So don't try and remember who you are. Don't try and imagine who you are. Just be what you are. And just remain being what you are. And let me just ask you just a few questions. This right here, right now, the being that you are, is it suffering in any way?
No.
No. Is it missing anything? Is it
No.
lacking anything?
No,
Can this be destroyed?
I don't think so because there's nothing to destroy.
Right. When did this start? When did this end? Can you find a starting, a beginning? Can you find an ending?
No, I don't think so.
No. How big is it? What shape is it? What color is it?
I mean, again, it's formless. It's
Uh-huh.
yeah,
It's formless, it's colorless, it's shapeless. Is it male? Is it female? Or is it genderless?
yeah, again, genderless.
What race, what ethnicity is it? What's its nationality? What's its religion? Or is it religionless, raceless, nationless?
Yeah, it's without characteristics. Yeah,
Yeah, without characteristics. Is it in any conflict?
no,
No. Is there any separation that it's experiencing?
no,
No. Is there any limitations? Can you find a border or a boundary?
no.
No. So what you're experiencing is yourself. This is you that you're experiencing. These questions that you're answering are just questions about yourself. I'm just asking you about yourself. And then you're experiencing yourself. And notice how you're not referring to a book about yourself. Notice how you're not checking in with your parents about yourself. You're not asking any friends about yourself. Notice how I'm not giving you any answers. You're checking with yourself. So this is what we call self-knowledge. It's absolute because it's not relative. You're not referring to anything that relates to something else.
It's not even like I have to check. It's just self-evident. It's not.
Exactly. It's just self-evident. Yeah. It's self-confirming because what you are is aware of yourself. As no thing, you're not referencing something. It's no thing checking with itself as no thing. It's no thing experiencing no thing. You are no thing experiencing no thing. And that's where you're getting these answers from. So there's no problem. You're not experiencing any problems. You're not broken. There's nothing to develop, nothing to become. You're not incomplete trying to become whole. You said you're not missing anything. If you were missing something, you would have a feeling of incompleteness. But see how you said you're empty. There's this emptiness, but see how this emptiness is actually full.
Yeah,
It's not empty as in it's empty and it lacks something. It's empty and full. That there's an experience simultaneously that you are empty and full. You're full of this emptiness. It's a completeness. It's a wholeness. So you said you can't find any borders or boundaries or any dividers when you're checking with yourself. So what you're checking was you, the formlessness. But now you see that there's forms. There's two bodies on the screen, three bodies on the screen. There's a pillow, there's a couch, there's walls. So now there's all this form. But you, the formless, said that you can't find any boundaries or borders or dividers. You said you don't feel separate from anything. So everything that you're experiencing is actually you. Because you would have to have experienced a border or a boundary or a divider. You would have to have experienced this wall that says, here's where I start, here's where I end. And you said you can't find the starting and ending of yourself. You didn't experience any wall that says on the other side, that's other. Here's me on this side, and there's other on the outside. You didn't experience that. You didn't mention any of that. So without referring to thought, with your eyes open, just looking at your space, just don't refer to any thought. And what are you experiencing? That same
Still nothing. Yeah.
that's still, yeah, that's still that silence, that stillness, that knowingness, nothing. You can't label it. And you just said that you are nothing. You said that you are no thing. So your direct experience is showing you that there is no separation. It's only thought that says otherwise. It's only thought that then says, well, here I am somewhere in here as something, as a separate entity, maybe behind the eyes, maybe behind the, in the heart or in the chest or something, somewhere in this body, that I as a separate entity is here. And this is me. And then I'm speaking to somebody else who's other. I'm experiencing these walls in this room that's other. There's me, and then there's the world. But your direct experience is that the me that you thought you were is just a thought. When you refer to yourself as me, you refer as me as Ross. Me as Ross, who's a separate entity that has been collecting experiences throughout my life, coming from a past, moving to a future, this becoming, constantly becoming. And what am I trying to become? Well, I'm trying to become happy. I'm trying to become complete. I'm trying to become whole. I'm trying to become free. And then we just say, well, let's just look at this. What if you're already free? What if you're already free? And then we just simply, okay, we'll just stop trying to become. Don't refer to any past or future. Those are just thoughts, without referring to your story of who you think you are or your labels, without even making any effort. What's here? And you just had a check. And you said the absence of suffering. We can call this happiness. You said the absence of separation. We could call this love. You said the absence of conflict. We can call this peace. And you said the absence of limitations. We can call this freedom. And I'm saying, well, what did you just check? What are you checking? Where are you checking? Where are you getting this information? You said it's self-confirming. You said you're checking yourself. So your direct experience is that you are happiness, you are love, you are peace, you are freedom. That you're not separate from anything. So right now you're talking to yourself. You're experiencing yourself. Everything that you're experiencing is you. You were just identified as a thought, and this thought was then a limited idea of yourself. But what you are is not even an idea. Any idea would be the wrong idea. What you are is prior to ideas. What you are is prior to thought. Because without referring to any thought, then you are just thoughtless. So it's the thought that's conditioning. It's creating this separation. It's creating all of these conditions. But what I'm saying is, well, before all of that conditioning, what are you? Because there would have to be that which is prior to those conditionings. So we're just going to our unconditional nature. So you see that, oh, well, yeah, I'm actually not suffering. I'm problem free. Your essential nature is not trying to solve any problems. It's not trying to free itself from suffering. It actually doesn't even know suffering. It doesn't know conflict. It doesn't know separation. It doesn't know limitations. It's impersonal. And you sense this freedom of being nothing. It's so free to just simply be as you are. Being something, being a somebody, working on yourself, trying to get somewhere, that's exhausting. That's what you're tired of. This is permission to just be yourself. It's like as if you walked out in the world and everyone's telling you to become something, and your parents are saying, when you grow up, become this, and society's telling you what to be, who to be, how to be, what to do, where to go, all of this stuff. And it just gets so exhausting. It's such a burden. It's like, it's almost like this sense of like brainwashing. And then you just come on this call and you meet someone like me, and then I say, wait, hold on, just let's just make it really simple here and just check with yourself right here, right now. And it's as if you are now experiencing, wow, I didn't know I can just be nothing. But notice how you're just so relaxed. Notice how there's this deep relaxation to just be as you are. Where I'm saying, I don't care what your job is and your family and your past and your history and your future, all of that. It's just noise. Just simply be as you are. So it's this permission to kind of take off this mask, the mask that you've been wearing, the disguise, the costume. And this is just this kind of nakedness. There's just this emptiness, this openness. And you're just experiencing everything as it is without commentating on it, without narrating, without saying, I know this and I know that. It's this freedom from like trying to know, that the mind is always trying to know. But without trying to know, everything is just, it's unknown. It's you, the unknown, that's knowing that it's unknown. That what you are is the unknown. The mind can't know you. You see, when you're checking yourself, you weren't checking with the mind. Yeah. So you weren't going through this middleman. That's why I said it's like a direct experience. It's self-evident. That's why the answers come so fast. You're not thinking about it. Right? So then, yeah, you're just simply being. You're just being yourself. And this is what you experience. So you know, you experience this deep relaxation. It's actually, you're experiencing rest, because check with yourself, your formless nature. Are you moving at all? You're ever present. You're not coming, you're not going. Check to see if you're just even moving an inch. You're not even, you're absolutely still. That which is still is at rest. That which is not moving is at rest. So you are at rest, you are never changing, but you seem to be experiencing what is ever changing. See, the body is ever changing, the mind is ever changing, the world is ever changing. You are experiencing body, mind, world as this ever changing activity, but you are rest that's experiencing yourself as the activity. You are the never changing that's experiencing yourself as the ever changing. So now it's as if you are are now experiencing another aspect of yourself. It's like all you knew was the activity, but you didn't know rest. All you were knowing was the change, but you didn't know the changeless. All you knew was the form, but now you're knowing the formless. So this completeness, this sense of completeness, wholeness, is experiencing yourself as both simultaneously, where it's the mind can't understand this because you have to experience it. It can't be something that you're knowing about intellectually or reading about, but you're not. This is, you see, if I were to say, well, how much of this conversation is intellectual? You'd say, no, it's not. It's experiential. It's experiential, that you're experiencing yourself. You're not thinking about yourself. You're experiencing yourself. We're not talking about books or, anything like that. It's an experience. So now you're seeing this as the completeness, that you are the silence that's experiencing yourself as sound. You are the stillness that's experiencing yourself as movement. You are the rest that's experiencing yourself as activity. You are the eternal that's experiencing yourself as time. You are infinity that's experiencing yourself as space. Is there any confusion or any doubt? And it's okay to say it, but we're just, because we just clear it up.
No, there's not. There's sort of thoughts that seem to pop up, like what if this, what if that, and then it's just we'll just
Like what?
don't think about it. Just be in the now, and then
Yeah. What's
the
the
thoughts
thought
are
saying?
gone. The
What
thoughts
if?
is the thoughts is like, well, what happens next when you're not in the now? But then it's like the answer is just be in the now. I
Mhm.
think
Can you be anywhere else other than now?
no.
No. So any of these thoughts, that's why I said, like, it's good to bring them up, because then it's almost like shooting them down, because all of these thoughts are like going to be now thoughts of doubt, and the doubt is just by seeing that they're not true, because it's a belief. There's a belief that there's something here that can be anywhere else other than now.
There's a thought how to resist the thoughts, how to resist the compulsion to be pulled out of the now. But then
Yeah,
again, the
that
answer
too
just
is
seems
just
to
a
be just
thought,
be in the now. Yeah,
right? It's a thought saying, well, how, what about these other thoughts?
yeah.
Every thought just points to another thought. So it's not getting immersed into those thoughts, but just simply realizing that these thoughts are appearing in you. These thoughts are something that's appearing in no thing. And no thing's not in conflict with these thoughts. These thoughts appear to be in conflict with themselves. And when you identify with the thought, you now experience the conflict. The way out of that conflict is just realizing that you are no thing. And as no thing, you're not in any conflict. You're okay with these thoughts, even if they want to be wild thoughts and crazy thoughts and stupid thoughts. Just you're just allowing them. They're already appearing in you. You've already accepted them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be appearing. They wouldn't be here. So just like that, everything that's appearing as this moment, you have already allowed. You have already accepted this moment as is. Check it out for yourself right now, this moment. Now try and prevent this moment from happening. Go ahead. Try and stop it. Try and change it. Try and resist it. Send it back. This
There's
moment,
nothing that wants to do that.
you can't. It's inevitable. But notice how when you say that you don't like this moment, ah, I don't want this moment, there's resistance. I don't like it, resistance. Take it back, rejection. wanting to change it. I want something better than this. I'm going to seek something else that's better than this moment. This is suffering. That's what's been going on. It's just been showing up as anxiety and fear and desire for something else, sadness and grief and shame and guilt. All of this is suffering. But what you just experience is your essential nature, your true self doesn't experience any of that. Your true self doesn't feel like shame like that. It doesn't, it's not guilty, it's not anxious, it's not fearing. Right? So it's just being what you are. It's just being what you are. So if there is any doubt, then what clears up this doubt the fastest is by just continuing to experience yourself over and over, and really looking at what these thoughts, these doubtful thoughts are kind of presenting. It's like, well, what if this? What if that? What if this? And these are always like invitations to go back into believing to be that you're separate. And when you believe these thoughts, then you get kind of pulled back into this belief in being separate. And as long as you believe to be separate, you suffer. The experience is suffering when you believe to be separate. But you just said that your experience of yourself is that you're not separate. You're not limited. So you see, on one hand, you have a belief that says, I'm separate. I am limited. And that's the belief. And on the other hand, you have the direct experience that I am not separate, that I am whole, I'm complete, I lack nothing, I need nothing, that I am boundless, borderless, without dividers, that I am limitless. So now you start seeing that, well, which one's true? Is your belief about what you are more true than your experience of what you are? Which one is it?
I mean, in this moment, it's quite clear that the belief is an illusion and the experience is reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So what we do is we continue experiencing ourselves more and more, and that belief just it fades. It just dissolves. It like these are words that don't even really describe it. It's just seeing that like a lie is not real. Right? It's like this, there's the truth and then there's the lie. The lie is not real. It's appearing to be true. That's what an illusion is something that's appearing to be what it's not. So it's appearing to be true. But we just said, well, let's just check with the truth of what you are. And you see that the truth of what you are is actually saying the opposite of the belief. And the thoughts are always going to want to get you to sustain that belief. So the way to clear up any remaining doubt, to be basically doubt free, is to just explore those beliefs more and just see that they're just not true. Because the belief only exists, you could say, because it's an assumed truth that you're assuming it to be true. Just like that's like been going on, you could say, for your entire life. You've assumed to be separate. You've assumed to be limited. It's just an assumption. But then, see, this is what happens. There was an openness. You said at the start of the call, you said, there's just a curiosity. Curiosity is what opens you up. It's funny because I actually just posted like a quote about this this morning. Is curiosity leads to wonder. Is there not a sense of wonder right now of what you are, your essential nature? Is it anything less than wonder? Yeah, there's wonder. This wonder is just, it's the wonder of not knowing. The mind is always, it's like stale. It's so like, oh, I know this, I know that, but there's this, without referring to any thought, just look around your room. Like you're like a newborn baby. You don't know what anything is. You can't use any thoughts because right now you're looking at the room prior to language. No one has told you anything about this. And you notice that everything just looks so fresh. It looks so new. It's wondrous. Is that your experience?
Mostly, there's a sensation of the mind trying to jump back in and put labels on things. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you're saying.
And that is seen. You are seeing that,
Yes.
that thought activity. Yeah.
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 I mean, there is a pull between, the now and the mind. There is this pull between not having labels on things and trying to categorize
Yeah.
things. But
So that's just like this, you could say it's this habit of
yeah,
wanting to, like, it's like a habit of using a label machine. The mind is this label machine. It just wants to go and just label everything. Right. But just resting as the awareness. You said that you are aware of the mind coming in and wanting to label things. Okay. So now notice the awareness. You said there's an awareness of the mind coming in wanting to label. Okay. So now don't go to the labeling. Don't go to that activity. Rest as the rest that is aware. Rest as effortless awareness. And right there's no labeling. So you're just being yourself. You're not being the label maker. You're not identified with that labeling activity. If it's there, it's there. You don't resist it, but it's as if it's like one step back. That which is aware of that label making activity is not itself doing any sort of activity of labeling. So it's resting as that. And then you're back to experiencing the room and everything as this emptiness. You'll feel experientially like there's this openness. Once you start noticing the label and making activity and you want that, now it feels like you're kind of closing in on it. And that's the attention that you're experiencing, closing in, narrowing on it. And it's that activity of label making that seems to apparently divide this experience. It's like slicing it, dicing it into like parts and pieces. But without that activity given importance, without you giving importance to that label making activity, there's a relaxing, and then there's just this. You wouldn't even describe it as this whole moment, but that's the experience, is that the moment's it's whole, it's complete. There's no slicing and dicing, compartmentalizing. There's no giving focus to one thing over another. It's not saying, oh, this wall is boring and I wish I was, out there with the birds. No, it's experiencing everything as it is. There's the experience of the walls, but maybe there's the experience of hearing the sounds as well. There's also the experience of the temperature of the room. There's the experience of the body sitting in that posture. There's the experience of the taste of the mouth. There's the experience of everything. So that's what it is it's you are no thing experiencing yourself as everything. It's only when we come in with the thought and say, it's this something, that's what divides it. As no thing, you're limitless. As everything, you're limitless. As something, you're limited. So the only problem is when we identify as something. And that identification is, it's the only problem, really. But even absolutely, it's not even a problem. It's just what's happening. It's just you as the whole believing to be separate. But it doesn't change anything. You're even when you're believing to be separate, you're still whole. Because there's only wholeness. The separation, that's what's the illusion. There's only wholeness appearing to be separate. As separate, you can't become whole. That's why it's not possible. You'll never become whole. You have to realize that you already are whole. It's the experience that you are whole. And you just had that experience. You can check. The experience is always now. So you can check by just being yourself, resting as yourself. There's no sense of incompleteness. There's no sense of brokenness, pieces, fragments. There's no sense of lacking anything, needing anything. No, it's this wholeness, this fullness, this fullness, this completeness. And that's what you're feeling, is like that deep satisfaction. It's like an absolute contentment for no reason, right? It's not like I didn't give you anything. You didn't work hard for this. It's not something that's like all the other stuff. It's we think like I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if. My happiness is associated somehow to my bank account. My how big I am is associated to how many jobs I have or labels under my name, or how, my status in society. None of that. This is, it's realizing that what you've always been looking for is what you are. That you're trying to seek love in a relationship, but realizing that what you are is love. You're trying to seek peace in a bottle of wine, but what you are is peace. You're trying to seek freedom in a vacation, but what you are is freedom. You're trying to seek happiness in possessions, but what you are is happiness. By just experiencing this and just continuing to experience yourself as this, then that's what you've always been looking for. That all of those things that I mentioned aren't really things. Happiness, love, peace, and freedom, they're not things. It's actually no thing. And you just said what you are is no thing. That's what you've been looking for. And what you are is unconditional. So all of those, the happiness, the love, the peace, the freedom, is unconditional, meaning it doesn't depend on anything. And it's self-confirming. You just confirmed it. Any questions?
No.
All right.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you.